Namaste, my friends. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is our yin practice, and we're going to really focus on opening up the front side of the body, including the hip flexors, the front of the abdominal muscles, even the front of the chest and the shoulders. After prolonged sitting, if you've been flying or traveling for a while or just sitting at your desk, all these muscles tend to shorten and get contracted. So we're planning to open up space into this front side so you feel like you can stand taller. For this practice, you can definitely use some props. If you have a couple of blocks, blanket, even a bolster, or maybe even nice thick pillows or blankets will come in handy. So please go ahead and grab whatever props you need, and I will meet you on your mat. So when you come into your mat, please find your blocks and put them right next to you, like so. And then you can, if you have a blanket, you can put it at the end of at the bottom of your mat. So the blocks are going to be right next to you. The blanket or a bolster is going to be at the bottom. And initially, just go ahead and lie down on your back, please. I'm going to put the block right here so you can see. And put your feet on top of your blanket or your bolster. And just kind of sway your knees side to side. So just let your knees swing to one side and swing to the other side. Because the feet are a little bit higher, you will feel this in a different part of your back. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale it out. And then next time your knees are over to the left, pause there. Take one of your blocks and put it in between your knees. So you're going to have the block in between. If you don't have a block, you can just stick a pillow or a blanket in between the knees. This allows you to keep the right shoulder down. So normally if the right shoulder keeps coming up, and then it's a little bit tight here, the knees don't stack up. Excuse me, I'm having difficulty with my speech today. So if you put the block in between your knees, you can actually soften that right shoulder down towards the floor. Take your arms out to the side. Make sure the back of your neck is long. Close your eyes for just a moment. Or you can just find a spot on your ceiling and just kind of have a soft gaze. Make sure that you're not squinting your eyes or focusing so hard on anything. Just have kind of a broad, soft gaze at whatever it is that you're looking at. And then just notice your mood today. Notice if you're feeling restless or anxious to get started, or maybe you feel relaxed. Just notice how you're feeling this morning. And again, remember that there's no right or wrong in this. So there's no reason you should think that there is a right way of practicing yoga or a wrong way of, or a right way of meditating or a wrong way of. Just kind of notice what's going on inside the body. Notice the breath, notice the mood, notice the thoughts. Just allow them to be there, welcome them all without any pushing or rejection or attachment. Almost like you are a vessel, and all these thoughts and emotions and sensations just kind of come in, circle around in the vessel, and then they move away. Inhale, bring the knees back to the center. You can bring your block with you if that feels good. And then take your knees over to the right. And then just notice how this feels. It might feel completely different from the first side. Again, if your eyes are open, keep your gaze really broad, as if you have this huge canvas and you're just taking this paintbrush and stroking with complete broad, wide strokes of paint. There's no detail work here at all. And again, notice your breath, notice your mood, notice your thoughts. sounds even. As if there's sounds around you from outside, sound of the traffic, sound of people talking, sound of music. And then gently bring your knees back to the center once again. Go ahead and take your block now. Lift your hips up and you're just going to slide the block underneath your hips. And as you do that, begin to bring your legs off your blanket. So you can keep the knees bent, or you can straighten the knees as much as you want to, but don't push it straight. Just kind of let the knees hang. So almost like your legs are just really soft, but still pointing out towards the ceiling. Make sure that you feel balanced. So if you feel like you're wobbly, go ahead and bring your feet down and change the position of the block. Make sure you feel really stable and balanced. Your hands can be on your belly or open to the side, whatever feels good. And then now keep your gaze either on your knees or on your toes. And again, without passing any judgment or creating any kind of mindless drama, just kind of notice your thoughts. So much of our time is spent thinking about the future or the past. It's just the way the human mind works. We're either worried about something that hasn't happened in the future, or we regret something that happened in the past. So can you just begin to have a sensation or feeling of this broadness of just the expanse, a vast expanse of the universe around. And it's got nothing to do with what happened yesterday and nothing to do with what happened in the future. It's just that exactly what's happening in this moment. It's just like a white canvas, and you're just taking the paint and just brush strokes, whatever is happening without any plan, without any regret, without any past, just this present, this moment. Feel the sensations in your legs. Feel maybe a little bit of a tingling in the legs as the blood is rushing back to your heart. Maybe you've never seen your toes in this direction. Just notice that everything just happens in our mind, that there's nothing out there happening, that it's just everything that's happening is really just going on in our mind and the meanings we give it. Take a nice deep breath in. Let the breath exit, exhale it out. And a couple more times, nice deep inhalation through the nose. And sigh it out. Let it go. Let it open. Let your mouth open. Just let the breath exit completely. One more time. Nice deep inhale through the nose. And sigh it out. And then bend the knees, please. Put your feet flat on the floor. Take a nice deep inhalation. Lift the hips up. Put the block to the side. And then gently lower the hips all the way down to the floor. Let your knees open wide out to the side. Bring the soles of your feet together in Supta Baddha Konasana, Supine butterfly pose. And then I'm going to have you take your hands, make little soft fists, and put them under your thighs. So you're just going to glide them under your thighs. If you have two blocks, you can do the same thing with the blocks. So take the blocks and put them under your thighs. This gives you a really sweet support so that you don't feel like you're getting a deep, deep stretch. If you want a deep stretch, by all means, go ahead and remove the blocks. But this gives you a nice little restorative feeling for this pose. And then you can take your right hand to your belly, left hand to your heart. And again, take a nice deep breath into the belly. So now we're gonna really expand into the belly with each breath. And then continue your breath to feel your chest expanding. And one more part to this, continue your breath till you feel your collarbones expand. So it's a 3-part breath. It's called Viloma breath, breathing. Inhale deep into the belly. Continue the breath into the chest. Continue the breath into the collarbones. And then you exhale, empty the belly, empty the chest, and empty the collarbone. So 3 parts in, 3 parts out. Now you can close your eyes if you like to, and inhale. Inhale to the top of your collarbones and exhale. Exhale till you feel like you don't have any more breath to exit. And 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale till you feel like you completely emptied yourself of breath. Inhale. It's almost like you're allowing the inhalation to happen all the way in till you can't take any more inhale, and then exhale. And as you exhale, 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 exhale till you don't have any more and really ready to receive your inhale. One more time. Inhale, receiving your inhale. Inhale till you're completely full, and then exhale. Exhale till you're completely empty. And then gently begin to bring your knees back to the center, putting your feet flat on the floor. Put your blocks to the side, bring your knees to your chest. Rock a little bit side to side. Roll over to one side and then press yourself. Come on up to tabletop pose, please. So stacking your joints, wrists below your shoulders, knees below the hips. As you come into this tabletop pose, if you have a blanket, I suggest that you take the blanket and put it under your knees. This gives you a nice little support for the knees because we're going to be here for a few moments. Take the right leg out to the back, inhale, and as you exhale, step the right foot in between your hands. Bring your blocks with you if you're using blocks, and you can take the blocks and frame your right hand with your blocks. So the blocks are closer to the outside edges of my blanket. And then as I lift my chest up, I just let my knee soften down on that blanket and bend the right knee a little bit deeper. So really deep stretch for the front of the quadricep. Normally I have you engage your core so that you can lift up through the front side of your body, but for this one I'm just gonna have you relax. So almost like you feel like you're melting the front side of the body as much as you can. If you like to, you can come down a little bit more so you can let your chest rest on top of the right thigh. So if this feels a little too much too soon, just bring your chest down and ribcage down on top of the right thigh. And again, right here, just either close your eyes or have that beautiful soft gaze just to the front of your mat. And again, think about that broad gaze. Like it's not just, you're not focusing, honing in on into anything. It's just kind of a broad gaze of whatever is happening in front of you. You can look at an object, but really with soft gaze. Sometimes our gaze can be really hard as if we're trying to figure something out. So just let your gaze be like you've never seen this spot in front of your mat before. It's broad. You're not trying to figure it out or label it. It's just something that's out there. And then notice the sensations in your left hip flexor. Maybe you start feeling a little bit of a release in that psoas muscle that's really deep in there. The psoas muscle is a beautiful, incredibly interesting muscle. It actually it originates in your lumbar spine and then goes through your hip and comes into the lesser trochanter or the inner thigh or the top of the femur bone inside your inner thigh. So it could get really, really tight. So let that just stretch out. Sometimes they call it a fight or flight muscle because that's the muscle that contracts if you hear a loud noise and you kind of brace yourself. That's the muscle that contracts and you brace yourself. So now we're really trying to get deep and let that muscle soften. You can really feel that muscle superficially. It's really deep in the body. But it's one of the two muscles that connect your torso to your legs. One more deep breath in. Exhale. And then, so we've been here for a little bit. So really come out gently. So press your hips slowly back. You can use your blocks and gently, really super slow. Come all the way back. That's so as you're feeling, as you're taking your hips back. Take that right leg back behind you. Let's do a couple of cat-cows for our spine. Inhale, lift the chest up. Exhale, pull the belly in. If it feels good, sometimes for me it feels good to do circles with my hips after I've stretched the psoas. So see if that's true for you, or you can do your cat-cows. Do whatever organically comes to you. And then as you're ready, inhale, lift that left leg back behind you. Exhale, step the left foot in between the hands. And as you do that, just kind of reposition your blocks as you need to. And then let the right hip just melt down towards the floor. As the right hip melts down, let the front side of your body really relax. So soften through the belly, even maybe let the belly out. Sometimes we, in our culture especially, we're just holding the belly so much. So let the belly just soften, and you can let the right hip melt down towards the floor. I like to move my blocks a little bit to the top of my mat so that the hands have a better positioning. And then you can even bring your left rib cage down on top of your left thigh to let the right hip open even more. This gives you a little bit of a support to have your left rib cage on top of your left thigh. Once again, just notice if you're really squinting to look at something, or just have a soft gaze, like a kind of a Buddha eyes. You know how soft, if you notice the Buddha, the gaze is always really soft, like there's just a sliver of the eye showing. Soften the shoulders. Let your breath go wherever you need it. If you feel a lot of tension in that right hip, just send your breath to the hip flexor. Sometimes when we go into a pose, the body tries to protect itself, so it instantly tightens a little bit. And then once we sit there for a little bit at a time, your body feels safe to let go. Nice deep breath here, exhale it out. And even here, can you just give yourself some love for showing up. Maybe there are other things you could have chosen to do, but you chose to be here, so now can you really let yourself be here 100% for yourself without thinking about what needs to be done or what needs to be done later or what you should have done before. So just find your body in this present moment. That's all there is. That's all we have. Just this 1 minute. And just this 1 minute. Nice deep breaths in. Exhale it out. You may be feeling like you can actually let that hip melt a little bit more. Our bodies are so resilient to day-to-day traumas that we put it through. So what a beautiful way to be here and to take care of yourself. Slowly now begin to come back. So take your time. There's no rush. We don't need to move really fast. Bring your blocks with you if you need them. Take the left knee back, and then again, whatever feels good here for you. So you can wag your tail, you can circle your hips if that feels good. And then bring your big toes together, your knees together, and you're gonna put your blocks right next to each other. So like so. If you only have one block, that's okay. You can turn the block so it's the long way. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to come into child's pose first, and then you're going to rest your elbows on top of your blocks. So my elbows are either so your elbows are either on top of 2 blocks, or if you only have 1 block, just turn the block the long way so you can have your elbows on top. Your forehead may or may not come down to the floor. That's okay. Bring your hands together, prayer pose, and just fold down a little bit. Let the back side of your the psoas muscle right here, the connection to the lumbar spine, let it just stretch out a little bit. Let the QL muscle stretch. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale. Breathe into the back side of your body. Breathe into the back of the top of your shoulders. Breathe into your rhomboids in between the shoulder blades. Nice deep stretch. Exhale it out. And then gently bring yourself all the way back up. Keep your blanket in the middle of your mat, just like it is. If you want to, you can take another blanket and put it on top. Basically, this blanket now is going to be on your pelvis. So we're going to go down, lay down on our bellies with the blanket underneath the hip and the pelvis bone. So the hip bones are going to be on top of your blanket, and the pubic bone is going to be on top of the blanket. Get really nice and comfortable, and then take your blocks and put it right in front of you for future use. So we're going to have the blocks right here. Initially, we want to go into Sphinx pose. Your elbows are directly underneath the shoulders. You're pressing through the top, forearms. Fingers are spread wide apart from each other. Hands are shoulder width apart. So hands and elbows are shoulder width apart. Make sure you're not your elbows are not way out. Draw the elbows in, just like a sphinx, okay? And then take your legs now wide apart from each other. So in an active pose, sphinx pose, the legs are together. This one, I want you to have the legs wide apart from each other. And then lift the chest up, take a nice deep breath in. Now drop the head in between the hands. So really let the head drop. At the top of your head drop, you feel a nice stretch in the back of the neck. If that stretch is too much, you can take a block and put it under your forehead. So I'm resting my forehead on top of my block. And that's a really nice way to get a stretch in the back of the neck, but at the same time have your forehead be supported. If you don't want the block, you can just let the head hang. And we're just going to stay here for 2 minutes. Deep breath in. Exhale. Make sure you're not squeezing through your buttocks. Let your legs be wide. Nice deep inhalation. Just close your eyes now and take your awareness inside to this inner world. What is happening in your inner world right now? Your thoughts, your emotions, your sensations, things that you want to share, things that you don't want to share. Just notice everything about you, your inside. Notice your heart beating. Notice what you can notice, and notice all the things that are happening inside that you can't even notice. All the cells multiplying. The blood flowing through your veins. All your organs working, pumping blood in and out. Even the food that you consumed before moving through your digestive system. The air moving through the respiratory system. So many things happening inside that we're not even aware of, that just happen automatically, autonomically. And then gently begin to lift the chest up. Press your hands down, come up a little bit higher. If you like to, into seal pose, soften the shoulders away from the ears. You can always keep the elbows slightly bent. Make sure your hips are soft. This can be a little bit too edgy if you're squeezing your buttocks. So let the buttocks soften. Inhale. And exhale. And then if you have blocks, take your blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can roll up a couple of blankets. The blocks are actually going to go right under the shoulders, the front of your shoulders. So I'm going to take my arm out. I'm going to support one shoulder, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other block and support both shoulders. And then I'm going to bring my forehead down to the floor and take my arms towards my hips. So my palms are turned up, and the blocks are completely supporting my shoulders so that I can bring my forehead to the mat. And then just take your awareness to your breath. Let the forehead rest on the floor, on your mat. Let your blocks support your shoulders 100%. Again, if you don't have block, you can just roll up a couple of blankets and put them under your shoulders. It works really nicely with blocks though. Let your chest melt down towards the floor. This is a really beautiful way of opening into the chest area, into the front of the shoulders. And maybe even the front of the arms and the biceps. One more deep breath in. Exhale it out. And then gently begin to press yourself back up again. We're going to build another structure. So bend the knees, take your hips all the way back to your heels, and then take your blocks with you, and you can put the blocks right next to each other. This is gonna be on your rib cage now. So we're gonna come down on our blocks. The blocks is gonna rest on the rib cage. So this allows you to lift the chest up a little bit higher. If you want to, you can take both of the blocks if you're really comfortable with that and stack them on top of another. Or you can take a bolster and put it on your rib cage. Okay, make sure it's nice and comfortable. And then bend the knees back. You can grab your ankles if that feels good. And we're gonna stay here for just a minute. So you're kind of in a supported bow pose. Lift the chest up. Make sure your sternum feels okay so that you're not, it's not too edgy on the sternum or the xiphoid process. Keep breathing into your belly. Inhale. Exhale. This bow pose, you've seen this done in many of my young classes, the active classes, but this is the supported way of doing it. Couple more deep breaths in. We have 15 more seconds. Make sure the breath is flowing. Just have your gaze to the front, to the horizon. And then gently release your feet and press yourself all the way back. Stretch out your low back. Drop the head down. Take a nice deep breath in. Sigh it out. Inhale and exhale. And then inhale, press yourself all the way up. Now for the next pose, this would come in really handy if you have a folder. If you have a boulder, if you have a ton of props. So if you don't have any of these, you can even take like big throw pillows and pile them on top of each other. Okay, the blocks are going to go at the bottom of your mat, so let's push them to the bottom of the mat. And if you can see, I have 2 blocks on top of one another. And then I'm going to sit. You can take a blanket and put it on top of your mat. And so you see my little structure here. Blocks at the bottom. I have a pile up of pillows and stuff in the middle, and a blanket on top. I'm going to sit on my middle structure like so. This is why this works really nicely with bolster, because the bolster just doesn't fold underneath. So you may need to put a couple of pillows. And then I'm just going to lay down like this, and my feet are going to go on top of my blocks. And my head is going to go on top of my little blanket. So now I've got a nice opening all the way from the front side of my body to my feet. So I feel like I need a little bit more pillow. I'm going to take another pillow and put that here. That's going to help me raise it a little bit more. Okay? So have a seat. And then feet are going to go on top of the blocks. Yeah, so now I really feel like I can open into my chest as well, to my rib cage. And then close your eyes. If the one under your head doesn't feel so good, you can just put that to the side. Just kind of play with it and see where you really find comfort. Most important thing is finding comfort in this pose. And then now you can close your eyes, take a nice deep inhalation. We're going to be here for a few minutes. So get really super comfortable. Let your heels rest, or your Achilles tendon rest on your blocks. Let the toes just kind of sway away from each other or sway out to the side. Let your hips melt onto your structure in the middle. And let the palms be open, shoulders are open, close your eyes. I'm going to keep track of the mind so you don't have to worry about the mind. Just close your eyes and stay here. Keep your awareness on your breath. And as thoughts come, just let them flow. Let the thoughts flow. Imagine your thoughts are like a river just flowing to the ocean. There's no blockage. You're not creating a dam. You can just let the thoughts flow, just like a beautiful river. And eventually it's going to join the ocean. And another thought comes, and another thought comes. Let them all just flow. And then maybe you get to a point where you feel like you can notice the minute the thought comes. Can you notice that? You begin to notice the second you feel the thought coming. And just notice that moment of awareness is the gap in between the thoughts. So through our practice, it's not like we're trying to be better meditators or better yoga practitioners or better this or better that. But it's just the act of noticing that moment, the gap that you notice in between the thoughts, that second where you feel like, I was just thinking right there. Those are really precious moments. Those are moments that we are 100% present. And the more of those moments that we build, the more present we are in our lives. Present for ourselves, present for our loved ones. We learn to respond from a place of presence as opposed to reaction. One more breath in, please. And gently begin to wiggle your toes and wiggle your fingertips. Take one foot, put it on the floor, and another foot, put it on the floor. And then draw your knees to your chest. Rock a little bit side to side. Roll over to one side, rest for just a moment. So please don't come up too fast. And then as you're ready, gently begin to press yourself up. You can put your structures to the side. We're done for that for now. And then I would just suggest maybe take a smaller fold blanket or something and sit on top of your blanket. Excuse me. Cross your ankles, sit tall. Take the blocks, put them on both sides of your body if you're using them. Take a nice deep breath in with your left arm lifting up, and exhale, fold to the right. And then as you fold to the right, bring your left hand behind your head. Let your left hand rest on the back of your head. And then lift your left elbow up towards the ceiling. So you're creating a little bit of a twist, but really about a side body. Stretch that out. Inhale. Take your gaze up towards the ceiling. Have that soft gaze once again. Exhale. And gently come on all the way up. Switch side. left hand resting on your block, or maybe your elbow resting on the block. Inhale the right arm up, and as you fold over to the left, your right hand can rest in the back of your head. And as you just create a gentle twist, so your torso is, your gaze can look up at the ceiling, your rib cage is turning towards the ceiling. Let the shoulders be soft. A nice deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale, coming all the way back up. And then extend both legs straight. If you're using blocks, take the blocks and put it in between the legs, and just bring your elbows on top of the blocks. You can rest your chin in your hands, close your eyes. If you want a little bit deeper, you can lower the blocks and maybe bring your forehead down on top of your blocks. Just keep the knees slightly bent, so make sure you're not straightening out the knees. Wherever you are, let your forehead rest on your blocks or your hands. Let the back of your neck get long. And let your shoulders just soften from the ears. You can close your eyes. Let your belly be soft. Breathe into your belly. Slowly begin to lift yourself up. Put your feet flat behind you, bend your knees. Maybe you like to windshield wiper your knees side to side. Nice deep breaths in, exhale it out. And then as you're ready, we're gonna set up for our final pose, shavasana. So I'm going to suggest that you take your blanket, you can take your blocks, put them right next to each other, flat. Put your blankets on top of your blocks, and then rest your knees on top of your blanket. And you're just going to take it all the way down. If you have a bolster, you can put the bolster under your knees. That works nicely too. Or a rolled up blanket works nicely too. Now, as you come down to your shavasana, take a nice deep breath in. Take your hands behind your head. Lift your head up. So you're elongating the back of your neck. And then place your head back down on the floor. Let your palms be open towards the ceiling. Close your eyes. If you need to, you can turn the lights off in the room you're in, so that the light is not too bright for you. And just rest. Give yourself permission to rest just for a couple minutes. Let your eyes sink into the sockets. Let your tongue be heavy. Let your cheeks be smooth. Let your throat be soft. Your chest is wide open, your heart is soft, wide open. Receive your inhalation and let go of the exhalations. Always receiving and letting go. And as you rest here, think of the one person, maybe a pet, maybe a thing that you love the most. And as you see their face, Notice the joy that just reverberates in your body. Notice the joy. Looking at that person or the pet's face, the love and joy that you feel in your body, just feel it. Feel it in every cell. Every cell of your body is benefiting from feelings of love. Our bodies love to be immersed in love. So let yourself feel that immersion. Almost like there's a big tank of love and you're just dipping into it. Let yourself dip into a bathtub full of love. As you're ready, gently begin to deepen your breath. Draw one knee to your chest and then the other knee to your chest. Notice which nostril you're breathing out of a little bit easier. Roll over to that side. Pause for a moment. And with the strength in your top arm, press yourself to a comfortable seat. And as you sit tall, feel yourself just completely covered with love. And remember that you did this. You created that. And it's available anytime. Bring in your hands to your heart center. I bow down to all of you. The loved one inside of me honors the loved one inside all of you. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through